Lianne, welcome to Greenroom Central Studios. Say hello to Linchpin Nation.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy to be here, Sarah.
I'm thrilled to have you because we're doing something that we've never done on the podcast before today. And we're going to have a coaching call live on the podcast and let all of our listeners just kind of peek behind the curtain at what it looks like to do coaching. And I think it's going to be super valuable for everybody because you're cooking up something really special for your community and you've got questions about it. So let's dive in. What do you want to ask me?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Where do we even start? So, I think again, there are no coincidences, I don't believe, but I just returned from a pretty amazing event that I attended in West Palm Beach this weekend. And then I'm like, this is fantastic that I get to sit down with Sarah and have this conversation because I'm going to be hosting a really amazing transformational retreat in Sedona next April.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I'm so excited. Like, it is something that's been on my heart for many years, and the universe provided me someone came into my life that it was just synchronicity that she was doing the same thing. So, I guess really the first question, and then I think I have a few of more like logistical questions, but coming off this high that I just experienced this weekend, I think the biggest question that I have is being able to provide that connection or cultivate that connection with the women that are going to attend so that when they walk into this room or they meet us, that they feel like this instant connection.
Mm,
And so I guess my question is more, how do you build that up when you have people that have the interest, first of all, that have put their hand up, said they're interested, and then cultivating that community prior to the actual live event?
yeah. Well, great question. So I think one of the best ways to do that is to ensure that you're curating the room, that you're clear about who this event is for and who it's not for, and to approach filling the event without any sort of desperation. So, what I mean by that
Right.
is some people will get to the end of their event filling cycle, their marketing cycle, and be panicked because they didn't fill it and give away spots, right? Or maybe they're blending a lot of people's communities in order to get to the number that they want. And when we're not selective about who should be in the room, then there isn't that instant connection. But when we are, people feel like they've known each other forever and they connect on all of these different points. Like, let's take you and me for example. The first time that we got together was, so we met in one of our mentors' Zoom rooms, right? And then we got together one on one afterwards, and it was so easy to talk, right? Because we were picking up what he was putting down and felt like raising our hand to go into the next level and go into a paid program. And because of that, everyone who was in that room was so aligned around the principles that he teaches. And so it was very easy to then go offline or go into a one-on-one setting and just feel this instant connection, right?
And so I guess that's sort of given we're so far out as of right now, like we're still like September,
Mm-hmm.
and we're looking at six months, I guess, still out. And so we're building a group, an online community, to be able to cultivate that. Is that sort of a suggestion, like you just said, how we met inside of a community and we're
Yeah.
able to then go
Mm-hmm.
offline? So we're starting to build that from scratch.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to marketing and targeting who we're speaking to, we want the right people in that sort of free community per se,
Yeah,
right? We want to be able to share. So it's, I guess, trying to find it's the wording and getting the marketing out to the right people.
totally. Yeah, it's just being very careful in your language, and so that it's very easy for people to raise their hand and think to themselves, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, that they're talking about exactly what I want to talk
Okay.
about inside of here. It's not rocket science. It's just I was on a coaching call with a prospective client recently, and they showed me their sales page, and they're in a bit of a panic because the event was not selling. And I looked at it, and it was so vanilla. I couldn't tell who they were trying to attract because they were trying to attract everybody. And it
Right.
I just instantly was confused about, like, well, it doesn't sound like that's a
Okay.
place for me. Even though it most certainly would be a place for me, it didn't sound like it was a place for me because I was so unclear about what
Okay.
it is they were, what kind of community they were co-creating. And then we talked some more, and I was able to pull out, well, who do you really want to be in this group? Like, who are you really good at connecting with and helping kick off transformation in? And they were able to get laser focused, super specific, and I got excited because they were able to be so clear about who it was. So tell me,
Okay.
what, just offhand, what are you thinking is your ideal guest for the event?
Yeah, so our ideal guest is going to be, it's women, it's for women, and it's going to be sort of in this age of probably 40s, 35 to 50, where I don't like using the words lost themselves, but definitely are on a path of reconnecting back to who they are. And, they've maybe been busy raising kids, and now they've got that free time, and they know that there's a little bit more of a pull where it's like they know they want to do something else or they need to connect back. And it's more of that spiritual journey of becoming sort of, again, connecting back
Mm-hmm.
to the woman that maybe not necessarily who they were, right? Because we don't always want to go backwards, but more of the what is my next step? Where do I need to go next? So it's not, I don't like using midlife crisis. It's sort of the connecting back, that feeling that there's something more that they need to do. And I find I'm just running into more and more women that are in this feeling right now where they're like, I just don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time to like connect back to her.
Well, I think you're running into
Yeah.
them because of that whole, what do they call it? The reticular activating uh, function in the brain.
System.
A
Yeah.
system. Yeah. So where
Yeah.
if we're shopping for a red car, we go see them everywhere on the road. So it's just, if the more that you're clear about who this is and in your own head, the more that you can articulate it to really well to others, and the more that you're going to just feel at ease talking about it in your daily life and all of your interactions, and then it's going to start perking up the ears and attracting the people that you want. Yeah.
And so when I just explained that to you, was that clear? Like, was that clear the way that I described that, or does it need to be a little bit more refined?
I think you can do some work on it. I was just doing this work actually with a
Yeah.
client yesterday, and we got out the chat GPT to help us with brainstorming, and we're just going back and forth being like, okay, is this the word that feels like the right one, or is it this one? Do we need to add something here, or do we need to take it away? Just, I love, I don't know if you've read the book How to Grow Your Small Business by Donald Miller. I think it's his latest release. I loved Storybrand. I loved this one even more. And there's a section in there on sales language. It helps and also a mission statement. But it helps pull out of you in a series of questions kind of a way of talking to people about your thing. And it's so good. I recommend it to everybody who's trying to clarify who they're for. And yeah, so give it a read. I think you'll love it. And my best friend Audible has it. So if you like to listen to books just like I do.
We are best friends as well.
Yeah. And then I got it on Kindle too, so that I
Okay.
could like see the words on the page and like type them into ChatGPT to help me kind of connect the dots. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a big piece to your cultivating connection, is just backing way up into today and getting so clear on who you're serving and who you're enrolling into that community. Because when you get the right people into that community who are kind of just beginning this spiritual journey back to themselves or to who they're becoming at the earliest part of their journey, then they'll be able to self-select, like, okay, now I'm supposed to actually be at that retreat. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so now we're looking at April, so we're like 4, 5, 6, 7 months out. I mean, is that a normal time frame?
Absolutely.
We've sort of been, sprinkling, so that's a good amount of time in order, and it's going to be small. It's not, I think we're maxed out at like 10 women plus the 2 hosts.
Yeah, I don't think that because it's small, and I'm doing air quotes here, that you should start any later. I think it's never too early to start marketing the event and letting people know that it's on the horizon, and to get them excited about what you're doing. I mean, even right now, if you're perusing Airbnbs to select just the right one to reserve for your event, well, that would be something where you would be on Instagram stories and be showing off the screen and being like, okay, I'm trying to decide. I love this one because I like this patio, but this one has this most amazing living room with this big wraparound couch. And I just could see us sitting, in a circle, like really getting doing exercise. Like, that's the type of stuff that you can be talking about from now all the way through to the event. It's just really think about it as sportscasting the process of getting ready for the event. There isn't a right or wrong way to do that. One of my therapists once said, one of the great ways to be an even better parent is to sportscast what you're thinking as you're going through your day, because then they're able to see your thought process, learn, model. The same process works with events. Like, I've seen Russell Brunson do this in advance of Funnel Hacking Live. Well, he'd be sitting in front of his computer and he's working on his slide decks, and he's like, oh my gosh, I've got this many slide decks and this many are done, and so I've got this many to go, and look, or I'm at the store and I'm shopping, which shirt do you like? All of those little moments are actually selling people on the event, and we can't discount the power and how many people are watching us when we're doing little stuff like that.
So it's almost like the curiosity, right? Dropping things out to them to say, hey, like, and then sharing in obviously what it is that, now, would you want to be, people are different. I know, like, some people want more details, but if all the details aren't actually hashed out yet, and how do you put that into any email sequence when it comes to the full itinerary? Because that we're still in the process of working that, food, catering. Like, do you just be very vague or very over, like, high level on that?
I would start out super high level. Like, start building your sales page now and think about it like a wait list. And then and maybe have a secondary copy that you're just adding little segments to here and there. And when you're ready, kind of make that the new waitlist page, or, the early, what do they call it? The kind of like advanced notice, early bird waitlist. Yeah. So you could just be constantly be having a waitlist page open that you're sending people to. And as you're as you've kind of nailed pieces, you can be adding them. And inside of Live Event Academy, I know that you've been going through, and there's a section on marketing, and there's a download, kind of an order of the sales page. And so you can just be kind of building a little piece at a time and adding it to the wait list, and eventually making it into a page. It's eventually the sales page, and you can be putting like buy buttons instead of a wait list. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I did see that in there. And so that brings me sort of to this whole like, and I don't know, maybe I haven't hit it yet in the program, where we talk about maybe any type of early bird pricing, or even a bonuses for early registration, like to save your seat. How far out, like when would be the cut? What would you suggest for a cutoff for that? When we're talking beginning of April is the event, the retreat.
Yeah.
So like how far back would you cut off sort of that early bird bonus? Or you would even, I guess maybe even the bonus could come after. You could always throw bonuses in, but specifically for the early bird pricing, given that we still need to obviously
I would do 4.
Hit our 4?
4 tiers of pricing.
4.
Yeah. And I don't have the numbers in front of me exactly, but I feel like the first one is in that 4 to 6 months range.
Yeah.
And I'll make a note to send it to you after this. And I would do 4. I would definitely have bonuses. I think that's so smart. And I always think that bonuses shouldn't weigh. Don't. This is such an intimate group. I would advise that you don't do bonuses that have anything to do with small, intimate experiences. Sometimes it's a popular one, but I think it works great for conferences where you could have like a VIP dinner or cocktail hour. I wouldn't do that in this situation. You've got 12 people. Let's just keep them all together the whole time.
Right.
That feels right to me. But if there's a experience ahead of time that you could do where it's like a small group coaching experience, perhaps you could start that. Perhaps you could do, and I would then just take them away. Right? And then if you ever add any after anybody's purchased, always send them an email and surprise them with that bonus as well. Just to make sure that anybody who's purchased early gets anything that you unveil down the road. But anything that an early person gets, you don't add to the people who book after that period has gone.
Yeah.
Because you want to reward like early action takers.
Yeah. And would it be the same as, because I know in some things that I've seen and experienced where it's a variety where it's like if you pay in full, some people then when you do payment plans, the price is a little higher. And so sometimes when people pay in full, it's sometimes great because then you can take that money, right, and put it in towards part of whatever's happening during the actual event. And so is that, I don't actually, now that I'm asking that, it's like, I don't even know if I've ever seen, not a bonus per se of paying in full, but is that normal to have the prices a little higher for the payment plan?
Yeah. We just did a whole episode on payment plans, actually, with Chase Kraft. It's a few episodes back from this. And he's a lender who adds payment plans. And so what I would say about your situation is, yes, it's always normal to make the payment plan higher. And when you're offering payment plans, you always offer the payment plan first. So say it's just like, 4 easy payments of $500, right? Or you can save a little and pay in full today and get it at X. But you always lead with the payment plan. Otherwise, people get resentful. So it's just a psychological buying thing. So yeah, lead with the payment plan. Yes, I would always make it slightly higher than the other one. I would also make sure that it's wrapping up before the event. So perhaps at some point the payment plan goes away. And that could be one of the scarcity and urgency triggers in, when we're doing 4 kind of price tiers. One of them could be taking away the payment plan. And the reason why we would do 4 prices is because every time that you change the price, you have a natural reason to go out to your community and say, okay, in about a week, the price is going up. And so you have just one more reason to keep talking about signing up. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess that really rolls right into the whole, and I know there's a whole section like pricing, how to price your event. And so it's interesting because the event is in the States, it's in Sedona, and my partner and I are going to be putting obviously just one sales page with sales link, but I'm in Canada, so there's quite a difference in discrepancy in cost, right, between the American price and a Canadian price. Even though we'll be selling it in US dollars, it's like, I guess that just has to be very clear for any Canadians. Given the price, if it's going to be $2,000, it's actually going to be 25 or something, right? Is that, we wouldn't put both prices.
Well, I would like to think it's kind of like selling a book. So every time you look at a hardcover book in the US, there's usually like 2 prices inside the flap, right? It's like $2,000, $20 US and 25 CAD, right? And it's just natural for us to see it just like that in a very non-obtrusive, non-confrontational way. It's just like, this is what it is. So, yeah. And then I imagine, so you're going to do a sales page in US dollars as the checkout?
Yeah, it's just going to be the one, because we've got the landing page already done for a wait list already. But then I like how you said we're gonna adding to that, right? And
just keep adding
with the content. But and so the price hasn't been set just because our biggest thing is being able to how much we want to have so much value. We know what the transformation is, and yet it's like, okay, what do we actually include in that? Do we bring in speakers? Then how much is that going to cost? Is that going to increase the price? Of the retreat? And so it's figuring out that balance between value and the actual price.
Yeah, so I really purposefully put the budget conversation in like week 5, I believe, of Live Event Academy, because I really want people to be so clear on their vision and their why, so that they can then price the vision and then decide what they're going to charge based on the price of their vision. And because I hate for people to say the price is $2,000 and then they go through the exercise of pricing everything and they're like, oh shoot, I want to put on an experience that's actually $3,500 a person. And I also want to make money on top of that. So I need to maybe I want to make $1,000 a head. So now I have to charge $4,500 in order to break even and then make a little per person. and I've already put the sales page out at 2,000. Like, what do I do? And then there's this panic, and then there's this shuffle of like taking things away, and then you have resentment inside of you because you're now compromising on what you value, and I don't love that. So that's why I always want people to go through the exercise. It's not easy to price everything that you want. And it's not easy because you've never done it before, because you've never gone out and figured out, okay, well, how much does an Airbnb that sleeps 14 cost in Sedona on this particular week in April that I'm targeting, right? How much does it cost to fly in and house this, an air in a hotel for this speaker? Or what is it? Or can I barter with them? Or I want to have gifts in their bedrooms when they arrive. And what is it and how much does that cost? And I don't want people to have to leave and get their own food or even bring their own food or have to go to the grocery store and stock up their room. I would prefer to hire a private chef and have them just in our house cooking the 3 meals a day and the snacks for the duration of the retreat. So what does that cost? It's going and doing a Google search and finding a personal chef in Sedona and asking them, okay, theoretically, what would this be to feed 14 people over the course of 3 days, 3 meals a day, plus, like some things to nibble on out throughout the day? Like, what does that cost? So it's just so important because stuff adds up. And you'll find that there's a really nice spreadsheet where that cues you on all the categories to kind of get your brain going on, okay, well, I didn't think about the fact that I am going to need to cover my expenses to and from the airport, and both in my home in Canada and both in Sedona, and I'm driving all the way from Phoenix, so maybe I'm going to need to rent a car. That spreadsheet will cue you, so you'll be able to just kind of go down the list and think through, okay, now I need to go get the price for this, and some of the stuff you're not going to know. You're going to just do your best estimate, and that's okay. But some stuff, if it's really, if it's an Uber to and from the airport, you can guess. But if we're talking about a private chef for 3 days for 14 people and you've never hired something like that, then I don't want you guessing. I want you actually going and doing the work of figuring that out. And that takes time. And now is the perfect time to be doing that work. And honestly, it's going to be so exciting and give you tons of stuff to talk about with your community members who might possibly be interested in going. And I would add here that people support what they create. So this gives like tons of fodder inside of your free community to be like, okay, I'm planning our retreat for April, and I'm like toying between a private chef and going out to eat or this and this. And then you just like put a little poll, like, what would you do? And you just, people support what they create. Just put little polls in the community, just all the time, just to kind of force yourself to ask for feedback. And it might even help you make decisions about what you're going to do. But like, oh, I'm trying to decide guest speakers or no, yes or no. Okay, and then if you answer yes, like, who would you want to hear from? Like, put it in the comment section. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is, being able to really use your audience to build it, right? And that's the big thing, because then they're going to have even more of a connection and more of an experience. Thank you for that. That's so good. And it's funny that you talked about one of the things that I don't like struggling with, but definitely it's been coming up, is the whole issue of transportation. And so the event that I just attended on the weekend, obviously the flight was not included. The hotel room was not included. It's going to be a little different because this is a retreat where we're all going to be in one spot. But the biggest thing is, because people will be coming in at different times, it's like, do we just leave the transportation to their own devices to get to wherever the retreat is happening, or do we rent a bus and have one of us drive it and then go back and forth? Because with how far the Airbnb will be from the
Yeah.
airport. What is like, you want to have the experience. I want to create the atmosphere and the environment right off the bat. And I guess it is, again, whatever we choose, but then that cost and the time
Yeah.
of having us do that ourselves or just hiring it out.
Yeah. So, uh, you driving other people instantly made my insurance flag go up. It's making sure that you think about event insurance, and it is a line item on the budget for you to think about. But one way to reduce your risk is not doing that and hiring that out, either with
Okay.
just having people be empowered to make their own travel arrangements, or booking it through a travel company that has insurance, and then you just ask for a proof of insurance. It goes back to, the event that you just went to. I love for people to journal after they've done something like that, about the areas that really like put a sparkle in your eyes. Like, I'm so glad they did this, or this moment was so amazing. I'm glad that I had this, or I'm glad I met this person, and this is what we talked about. And, or just all the things that you noticed that you either loved or you thought, when it's mine, I'm going to do it a little differently than this. And right now, while it's fresh, is a great time for you to do that, because you're going to remember like the little things. And I'm sure you've heard me say it inside of Live Event Academy over and over again. Details matter. And I'm sure there's like lots of little moments from this past weekend that really caught you perhaps by surprise, a surprise and delight moment, or moments that you're like, this didn't feel quite right. So I would encourage you to journal this week on that. But then back to your question about how to decide on transportation. It's back to that whole, you decide the vision and price it, and then you might, after you get the prices back, go, I think it's fine. I've been to plenty of events where I've managed all of my own travel, and it was the experience, and that feels totally good to me. Like, I feel at peace with the decision that I'm going to manage the room and everything that happens in there, but they're going to manage their hotel, they're going to manage getting here, they're going to manage their flights, or some sort of hybrid. Just this past weekend, as we're recording, the 29029 event happened in Whistler. Jesse Itzler and his team host that event, and I noticed that they're staying at the lodge this time instead of like glamping tents. And I think those tickets are upwards of more than $5,000 for the weekend. But it's just, I think they've just decided that lodging is a part of it, and people just get themselves there. And then once they're there, everything is taken care of. You just have to decide at what point you're doing the handoff, and being very clear on your registration site and all of the communication leading up to the event after the point of registration, so that people know expectations. And I think I came from a corporate background where we covered everything, and we micromanaged everything. Like, we made your flights arrangements for you. We picked you up from the airport. We fed you everything. We managed your entire schedule. And then I went into this world of entrepreneurship and going to personal development, coaching style events, and it was vastly different, where it was just the room it wasn't even food, or it wasn't even lodging or transportation. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, how's this going to work? And then I noticed thousands of people are making it work at this event, and I'm actually making it work too. And I don't feel like any less about the host of the event. It's just, I knew the expectation up front, and then I just followed through, and I actually felt kind of awesome about that amount of autonomy and freedom. And so you're just going to have to kind of work with it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Knowing from the things this weekend, um, definitely like when you said that's like, yep, there's things that absolutely amazing, and yet there was things that's like, I wish that had been included, right?
Yeah.
Or that had been a little bit more. But being really upfront and letting people, and again, I like that you said, really asking, like saying, hey, do you want this to be all inclusive, like including all the food, and you don't need to worry
Yeah.
about a thing. And then if you decide to go and grab snacks yourself, that's on you. And I think for the experience that we want to create, I think having, yeah, it all sort of included from the point of arrival
Yeah.
is definitely the experience that we want to be able to provide to people. So
Yeah.
I love all of that. And yeah.
I think about it like a hotel ballroom conference with 1,000 people versus an intimate retreat for 12 people. You're creating this bubble around them, right? You kind of want to keep everybody in the bubble. And whereas conferences, it's almost impossible to, it's possible, but to put a bubble around that many people. And so it just kind of feels natural and organic for people to go create their own little mini bubbles inside of the thing. And, they've got their people that they go eat with, or they made their hotel reservations, their Airbnb with some friends that they came with. Whereas I think with 12, you really want to create, if it was me, I would want to create a bubble and include as much as possible, but then draw a line where it just doesn't financially make sense this time to be able to do that. But I'm going to put it on my wish list in the parking lot for next time. Like, not this event, but next one, or maybe the third one. Like, I'm working towards this. And it's okay to give yourself permission to say, this is a value of mine and it's so important, and next event. Like a story from my wedding. Like, flowers are the most important thing to me in the whole wide world. I just love flowers. But I could not afford to build like the arch and put like, the massive like $1,000 arrangements on everybody's table. So everyone got like bud vases, and it wasn't my ideal, but it was what I could do at that time. And I still have the vision that there will be an anniversary party someday where it looks like the most expensive wedding on planet Earth, because that feels fun to me to do once in a lifetime. So it's okay to know that's my value, and it's not going to fit this time, and I'm working towards it.
That's really helpful, right? Because you always think it's got to be perfect the first time around, and it's like, no, it's going to be a learning experience, and it's going to be something to grow and we learn from.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask like one last question about the insurance, because would we have to, provide, if we're renting an Airbnb, like I know that they cover a lot of things, I believe, like through the Airbnb link, the hosts and stuff, but as far as actual retreat insurance, if we're going on hikes or we're doing other activities, is that something obviously we have to look into?
I think you should look into it, and you would look for an event insurance company, and you just get on the phone with an insurance agent and describe what you're doing and see if it's something they cover. Maybe you'd also, and if you unable to find an agency that will cover your specific situation, perhaps you're working with a legal contact and getting waivers put together. So I think you should have conversations in both spaces. Yeah, both legal and insurance. There's some beautiful hikes up there.
Yeah. I know. And that's sort of like you want people to, not have to worry about that, but it's something you have to think about for sure.
Yeah, it's very possible.
And I guess, anything is. I just had one, but I guess the after, now we've done this amazing retreat, and I think that you just did an episode on scaling, and I haven't listened to all of it yet. but I guess it's the after effect of that and how to still, I guess, take all those testimonials of those people, and we put all that back into our free community where the people that maybe weren't able to come this time
Yeah.
would be able to come next time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe doing
I
having
would
podcast and
I would recommend
having
filming testimonials with as many of the people who attend this one as you can, like during the event itself. So plan for that in advance of how am I going to do that? What camera am I going to use to film it? How am I going to light it? Where are we going to sit? And so that you have some decent looking testimonials. And then I would go ahead and also offer your next retreat at this retreat, and perhaps say, when you're able to sit down with us and give us 15-20 minutes at this retreat for to give your testimonial, would love to, as a thank you, give you a discount off of the early bird pricing for the next one. And that will just help fuel you for the coming retreats, and knowing that you've already got it partially filled, and you can go back to your community immediately after the event, show them all the great photos and testimonials, and get them excited because they already have this fear that they missed out, and now you're confirming it for them, and then you're saying it's already 20% full. Want to make sure you get your spot at this, never going to be lower than this early bird pricing for the public. So yeah, so you think through what's the next one going to be.
Awesome.
So that you can make just a very generalized kind of offer at the current retreat, because no one's going to be warmer than those who are sitting in the room with you at that time. Yeah.
Awesome. So good. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if I have anything else right at the moment. This is great because there's some things have just been really clarified for me about, again, the cultivation prior and being able to have that connection when everyone actually arrives and feel like they've, already know each other.
Yeah. Again, think about all those little moments leading up to the retreat you went to this weekend that made that so seamless for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome.
This has been so fun.
Wonderful.
I loved our time together just flew by, and I can't wait to do it again. I'm cheering you on, and you know where to find me when you have more questions come up. So thank you, Lianne. I'm so excited to see your Sedona retreat come to life.
Thank you so much. Me too. It's going to be amazing.